Hello YouTube. It's been a while, and just wanted to do another laundry room production. I haven't done a video in a while because I couldn't think of what to do. But since we're on the topic of knives, I do have a few knives of my own, and I never really showed these knives too much. But these are some of my main outdoor / survival, or even depending on which knife you can, well, actually all of them you can use it for combative purposes too. One might work better than the other, and it just depends how you use it, I guess. So I have 4 knives here. As you can see, one is a kukri, and then I got 2. This one is like a bolo machete right here, and then this one is kind of like a smaller version of a bolo knife, where you have the blade here that bows out, but at the same time this part here is also sharp. At least I sharpened it, so I can cut with this side and I can cut on the other side. This is a Tops Knives. This is a Nepal made, as I understood. I'm not very good with the steel and stuff, so I really can't tell you the steel. Right there it says Nepal. I ordered it online, and I used to have 2 of these, or 2 kukri. I gave one away because the other one the quality was not as good. This one I really liked. The quality was at least good enough for me. Has kind of a wooden handle, little piece here for you can put a lanyard, and the blade is overall pretty thick, as you can tell. It took me a while to sharpen it to the sharpness I want, and it does have a little rust on there. I haven't been the best at taking care of it, but also because I use it quite a bit just to do different type of yard work, clearing brushes or taking down any kind of branches or stuff. So it does show a little bit of its wear and tear on there, but surprisingly, for the quality of the blade, unless you look closely, you don't really see it. This one here is a Schrade, and I think it says right here, I can get it to show. This is a Schrade bolo machete. I bought it a while back. I don't exactly recall how much I paid for it. I think it was probably less than $100, or maybe close to that. I never use this knife on much of anything, so as you can see, the blade and everything is pretty well maintained, and looks like pretty good as far as even looks new. It does have a little dirtiness to it, just because where I keep it is kind of dusty. I put like a little 511 cord on there just for better retention. I didn't do it for this one. I figured this one I would be, if I was to use, I'd probably use this one more, just because I want to preserve this one. In regards to if I was trying to pick both knives, of which one I want to preserve. But like I said earlier, I do use this knife for chopping stuff, so it's not totally sheltered. It gets use, and I just want to preserve this knife a little bit more, and you know, probably use this one if I ever go to the woods or anything. I need to try it out to see. The blade, of course, is not as thick. I don't have much specs on this. I think this is maybe a little over 12 inches in blade. And this is a Tops Knives. Actually a very nice knife. I think it's called the Kumatak. I bought it a while back, and this one is probably the most expensive knife here. It was upwards of maybe even close to maybe 150, 170, if I can remember correctly. When I got it, what the price was. Full tang, as with all of them. This one I assume At least as I remember, they said it's full tang. I can't really see it, but I assume it is. And if not, it's not a big deal. So with this one, it's a Kumatech right there, as it says. Top knives. Let's see if I can read it better. Johnny Wei Sun Sai is I guess the designer of this knife. At least his name is on there. And there you go. You can see the Tops logo. I don't get sponsored from them, but this is their knife, so I'm going to give them credit for it. This knife is actually a very good medium-sized blade. I really like this knife. I've used it in survival classes, and I've used it in the woods or camping. And it's really cool because it has the advantage of a larger machete. So you can hack, chop, do all that kind of stuff. You can still baton, even though I sharpened this side. You might ding the blade a little bit, depending how you do it. But then again, you know, if it's meant for that purpose, I'm not too concerned. There's a little serration here that you can use for whatever purpose needed for serrated blades. The handle is very good. I never had a problem, even when I had sweaty hands or wet hands. The sheath it comes with is, in my opinion, is not the greatest. I'll show you the sheath in a minute. So I kind of, you'll see, I kind of, how do you say, you know, fixed it up a little bit to the way I like it. And now it looks kind of funny because all the stuff I did to it, it looks really crude, but I like it that way. And I'm not really concerned, because if these knives and sheath are going to be used outdoors, whether it's camping or otherwise, in an unfortunate event I have to use it to survive, I don't think looks will matter that much. In the end, it's going to be used the way it's going to be used. Has a little divot here for your thumb for better grip. When I use this knife in the survival class, I was able to do, like, you know, feathering of tinder and all kinds of stuff with no problem. And surprisingly, people would think that this knife would be an issue because of how big it is. But the weight is actually not bad as far as balance. The balance of the knife is not bad. And then with here you have a pretty good grip and securing of your thumb for a good proper pressure on the blade. So, and I can actually use either side to make tinder or anything like that, feathering wood, anything like that I can do. And it's not a big deal, even with the knife in the size it is. But at the same time, if you need a knife that you can hack something, like, you know, take down a small tree or something to build a shelter, or just to, you know, make your firewood a little smaller from whatever you got in the beginning, this knife can also do the job because of how the blade is. As you can tell, you can do the medium lifting with this. Maybe even a little bit of heavy lifting compared to this blade here, which you can do some heavy lifting here. I'm sorry, I'm going to show you this one right here. Yeah, so this one you can do the heavy lifting too. But this one I would think is a lot harder. I never tried it. It would be a lot harder to do, like, the more fine work of feathering and tinder making. Whereas this knife, you can still do that and probably do some pretty good chopping. As far as the kukri, great chopping, no doubt. The times I use this to chop anything, depending on the item or on the material, I basically had one. You know, I did one chop and it got the job done. Of course, you can't do it with, like, you know, really thick branches and stuff, because that's a little harder to do. But it does take a good chunk out of it. Now the more recent knife, actually it's been still pretty long, but I got this, probably the newest knife I have. This is a Falkniven. I think that's maybe Swedish, or I could be wrong. So this knife was highly rated as a survival knife, and I decided, well, I'm going to buy a smaller knife, even though this can do most of the work. I figure if I was to have to like carry a knife on my hip for long extended periods of time without looking too obvious like I'm carrying a machete, I can carry this one. This one actually has a really nice sheath that comes with it. Kind of looks like a flashlight sheath, but it's like leather and it's pretty cool. I tried using this knife for different things just to see how it works, and it does fine. The blade is relatively thick, so you can actually I would assume you can baton this knife with no problem. Full tang, good grip. You have a little like a metal piece here you can use to hit on stuff, or whatever they made that for. A little hole here if you want to put a lanyard or any any string type material. I have this option for all three knives, but I only did it for this one. Because in general I was like, well, the machete, I was like, well, if I want some little retention. I should do it for this one too, but I don't see the point right now, so I'm not going to do that. So these are my 4 knives that I usually, if I was to do anything, 2 out of the 4, or maybe even 3 out of the 4 will be the ones I grab and put in my backpack or put it on me and use it for whatever adventure I decide to go on to, or just if I need to get a chore done, you know, regarding outdoor yard work or something like that. Probably not this one or this one. If I was doing yard work, I'll probably use the other 2. These ones are really more for outdoor adventures, hiking and stuff. I do take, this knife is always in my survival bag that I take when I go hiking. You never know, right? You go off the beaten path, you want something, so I carry this along with a few other items. Now that I talked about that, maybe one day we can do a survival pack of what me and my brother would have in our survival packs when we go hiking or go off the beaten path. This one is not in my bag, because if I was to carry it, I'll put it on my hip, on my belt, but I would take this one too. So this would be more of the heavy lifter, and this would be the more personal, close to me. In case I drop or lose my pack, I still have one knife, and I think this knife, given that you can baton it and stuff, you can relatively do pretty well with it. I don't think the elements will affect it too much. It seems that the water won't corrode it or anything, and even with this knife it doesn't. It's only this knife that has a high susceptibility to corrosion. In that case, you know, depending how long I need it for and the ability I have to take care of it, of what kind of stuff I have to take care of it, I'll do my best to prevent it from corroding. But if I need it for more survival means, then so be it. It's going to corrode, and then I'll deal with it after my ordeal. But these are the 2 knives I usually would take with me. It's the Falkniven and the Tops. Now, if you say if I only had one knife, I'd probably do the Tops knife, because I basically laid out why it can do the best of both knives. And it's not that big. It's probably about maybe a little under a foot in length, and the blade is probably about 6 to 8 inches, if that. The grip is very good. I mean, this grip is big, it's comfortable. This material, whatever they use, is great. It's very solidly built. Even when I was hacking things and doing anything like that, it was fine. And then I even used this on like a flint steel. Did great. No big deal there. So in all, oh, and it has this like little, kind of look like a, what do they call that? lost my thought. Oh, kind of like a spade. So you know, you can see that, and whatever you want to use this for, that's always available. So yeah, this will probably be my one knife that I would take if I could only choose one knife. Otherwise, usually I take about 2 knives. If I know I'm getting into something more than 2 knives should do, then I'll probably take a third one, probably either the machete or the kukri. If I know I have to do some heavy chopping, then probably the machete. The kukri works fine too. And of course, if I go on any other adventure, I usually take a multi-tool with me too. So this one could be optional because the multi-tool can do some of the work that this knife does, and then this can bear the weight of the rest of the work. Oh, let's talk about the sheaths, at least the sheaths that I have. I had a sheath for the, here, I'll put this in front, that way you guys don't have to just look at the towel. I had a sheath for the kukri. I don't know where it went, so, there we go. I'm still trying to hold the camera. I don't have a stand or anything, so I apologize for the vertical inducing camera handling. So this is the Top Knives Kumatak sheath. I'll let you know right now, it didn't came like this. Okay, it was a lot more fancier and it had a lot more cosmetic appeal. But like I said, what I do to my sheaths, because of the way I want to make certain things to the way I like it, I start altering it. I start cutting stuff off, burning things to make it more suitable to what I like. So like this stuff here, you can see I burnt this, so it's not fraying. I have tape here. Yeah, it's just I took the cosmetic appeal out of this entirely. And if I ever do decide to sell that knife, it's definitely not going to come with the sheath unless they're ready for what they're getting. This part is taped back, so it works like a belt loop. It has no retention. Whoops. Alright. Has no retention, so the knife will fall right out if you tip it over. There's no retention. No retention whatsoever. I do have some materials in here. I can't even remember what I put in here, but well, let's see. Like I said, it's a kind of a survival thing. Oh, here we go. So we have this wet fire starting tinder. So basically, it's kind of, I guess it's kind of like a cooking fuel, and you can just light it, and it will hold a flame through chemical means. And then there's of course the little snap, the buckle snap here that you can use to hold that in, and that's the only retention this sheath has for anything. Yeah, so no cosmetics whatsoever, taken away by me, and that's a choice by myself that I made. So I don't have a problem with that. It's used for what it's used for. So at least for me, cosmetics is not that big of a deal. Okay, so this is the Falkniven sheath. Really simple. Little, let me see if I can show you better. Little belt loop here. Snap. Fully enclosed leather. So if you get water in there, you're going to have to tip it over and drain it. There's no hole on the bottom to drain any water or anything like that. But then again, this knife is pretty weather resistant, given the way I think it was built. So even if you keep it in water for a day or two, I don't think it would do too much to it. Maybe salt water would not be so good. But then we'll do some torture tests on these knives and see what they're made of. In general, I'm not too concerned about letting these knives pay a price for things, because that's what I bought them for. They're for that purpose. So I'm not going to baby a knife if my life is on the line and I have to use it. So you can just basically throw the knife in there. It has a little retention, which is the snap buckle, and it covers up, see, just like a flashlight holster. And then it looks very very civil. I mean, you know, you walk around with this, most people won't get frightened or even care that you're carrying this knife. Maybe unless it's not lawful, then you might get some repercussions about that. But if it's lawful, it looks pretty good. Versus if you're carrying this on your hip or even this on your hip, people might get concerned and you might get more feedback from it. But this one, I think you should be, you know, if I was to carry that, it would not be much of a concern outside that. Depending where you're at, it is a fixed blade, and it is, you know, probably longer in length for the blade that most cities will want you to carry around. Maybe in the suburb areas or country they won't care, but maybe if like city people might get concerned. But the sheath kind of covers a lot up. You can still see the outline that it's a knife. So, alright, the last one. Now this sheath looks really dirty because, like I said, where I store it is very dusty, and I'm not concerned about that because it's not meant for cosmetics. So this one has a buckle here. You can snap it. The back actually has only this. This is actually a duty belt keeper that I snapped it on to make a belt loop, and it works good. So I just loop my belt in here, and then I can carry it, and it can use this to hold it on there. This little elastic strap, if I turn it around, is what holds this little pouch on. And as you can see, it says Schrade everywhere, so that's the manufacturer or the company. In here, same thing, I carry a little survival gears, whatever I could. So I have a little waterproof match. Some of you who've been in the military would know where this matches came from. Let me see what else I can get out of here. Oh, yeah, another waterproof tinder. Oh, yeah. So, wet fire. So I keep these. I didn't say it earlier, but I keep these instead of, like, you know, a couple pieces of, you know, just tinder like wood, is because these, I believe these will start, you know, even if it's a lot wetter, and I don't have to even worry about getting it wet. So even if this package was to break and I have to use it, I think it will still start and hold a flame. My bigger concern is not getting the matches wet as I'm trying to start the fire. But outside of that, it's fine. It has a little Velcro just to hold it in there. It's not waterproof, so water can seep in there. That's why if you look, I have the matches in this sealed plastic bag. Kind of look like a Ziploc bag. Depending who you talk to, it looks like a druggie bag. But no, I don't do drugs. Alright. So, alright, let's put that away. So I'm the kind of person that just speaks my mind. So I'm very different in doing videos than my brother. He has more of the professional narrator thing. I don't. I'm just a person that speaks my mind. So sometimes I go on a tangent, sometimes I go off track, and sometimes I don't know where I'm going. But you know what? It keeps it authentic, it keeps it genuine. Hopefully I don't offend anybody. If I do, let me know. I'll try not to. And yeah, these are the 4 knives that I just wanted to share. It's been a while since I thought about what can I share in the videos. My brother done tons of videos since then. I have not done one, and he's been asking me to do one. Actually, I might have one more video I can do, but as of right now, this is the video that I've made, and just at least give you a look at as far as survival knives and stuff, what I would use. Alright, hopefully you enjoyed this material and you maybe got something out of it. If you want to buy any of these knives and you're not sure where to get it, put it in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to try to find you the sources to get it. Some of these knives might be out of production already. That means they don't make it. So I don't know what to tell you after that. If I happen to not need mine, I'll sell you mine. And thank you for supporting the channel. And please, subscribe and like if it's something that you found interesting or helpful. And comment, good, bad, or indifferent. It doesn't offend me if you comment. Just say what you need to say. I'd be more than happy to look into the concerns that anybody might have regarding this video and the contents. Yeah, so thank you, YouTube, and well, this is night here, so have a good night.